Today, I'm sitting with one of the warmest people I know. She's going to be sharing her story on grief, how she lost her dear baby, and how she's helping so many other mothers walk this journey of healing. So keep watching. We are at Best Western Plus the Athena Hotel. If you're looking for a getaway place within the city, then this is where you need to come. The rooms are beautiful, amazing. The food is also to die for. The staff is always there to support and help you 24/7. So please come to Google Lobby and you'll find a home away from home. You can book your stay using www.bestwesternplustheathenahotel.com. Today I'm here with Viola. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Lisa, for having me.
Good to have you. I remember the first time we met, we're going to work together because Viola has an amazing store with lots of, clothing for women. So we're going to partner together. And we just bonded for some reason. And you shared your story with me and I knew I had to bring it on here, so that is why she's here. So, welcome, let them know who you are you married, and, yeah.
Hi everyone, I am Viola Yamukama, married to Benjamin Yamukama, and together we have been blessed with 3 children. Michaela, who is the firstborn, Jeddah the second, and Asha, who is now an angel.
Oh, amazing. So before we get into the story, can we do an icebreaker?
Okay.
Yeah, all right, to just, liven up the mood, yeah. Okay, so what's the hardest thing about running a business?
You move around like a headless chicken.
How so?
Like the business I'm doing is second-hand clothes. Like you literally move downtown Owino. Like you don't have any other thing bothering you. Like you just have to go there like a mad person. You're running around with bags. Doing what? That's the hardest thing.
That's the hardest thing.
I feel like no one should meet me down there.
You will not look like the Viola we see. Okay, all right. So if you're looking for nice, amazing outfits, she is the go-to. Even this outfit here is by Pivio collection. You can check them out on Instagram. All right, so just tell us about your story, your family story. Like you've mentioned, you have an angel baby. What's the story behind there? What happened? Whatever you can share with us.
Okay. We are Christians, me and my husband, and so Christ is at the forefront of everything. We love the Lord so much, and so we are trying to do our best as parents to bring up our children in a godly way. And so Asha he was called Asha Himbisa. Himbisa means praise God. And so Asha means, oh, what joy is mine. So he was born just like any other baby, no abnormalities. He brought us so much joy when he was born. I remember us checking into the hospital, and anxiety, excitement, both mixed up, and yet it was also a very emotional time because my husband he had just moved work and he wasn't in the country, and then he came back just to help us, just to support us. And so we went into hospital. He was born. We came back home. The family everyone was so excited. The siblings were so happy to receive a little brother. It was an exciting moment, and I remember it was, we were approaching Christmas, and so it was a bonus to Christmas season. And 1 week after he was born, I fell sick again because it was a C-section, so I fell sick again, and we were checked back into the hospital. But you know how you keep worrying as a parent? You're like, he was so cute. Like, he's so cute. Like, he seems like a perfect package for me. Like, and then you start looking for anything abnormal, and you're like, is he okay? Is he not? But I went into the hospital, admitted again, and everything was okay. It was me with just malaria, and then we came back home. From then, everything seemed so normal. He was, I can't tell that there was anything really abnormal about Asha until he was 5 months. He had just turned 5 months, and then normal routine as a mother. You feed, you drop the others to school, and then you just stay behind a bit with him. You come back, stay behind a bit with him, spend some time with him, And because I run a business, I kind of have the flexibility to be at home and leave anytime that I want. Yes, so I would drop the other ones at school and then come back home. Probably find when he's just waking up, then bathe him and then feed him, and have first play a bit, then move out of home. So it was on the 7th, normal day. I dropped the others at school.
That's 7th
of June.
Of
sorry,
June, last year.
Of June, yes, last year. And so I come into the house and he had just woken up, I bathed him. And so that day, you just want to backtrack everything after it has happened. Like you never tell. So that day, he was just a happy child. He refused to, like, I would bathe him, then breastfeed him, then put him back to sleep and leave him with a help, then go back to work. That's like about 11. That day he refused. He refused to sleep. He played, I remember I was supposed to leave home like at 10. I left a quarter to midday.
Yeah.
He refused to sleep. So I told the maid, I'm like, you know what? Let me leave you with your child and you play. I left. I went to work and it was a Tuesday, the days that we usually post new stock at the shop. Like the tension, eh?
Yeah, you can be.
I wanted to run into that day very, very fast. So I get to the shop, normal day, I work. And about 1 p.m., I called at home to just check on them and see how they were. And so the normal days is that I would go back home, pick him up, then we go together to pick the others from school. So that day I call and the help is like, Auntie, don't disturb us. We have just slept.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, why go to Nigeria now again, pick the child, then disturb him? I'm like, no, it's okay. Let me just go pick the others from school and then we shall catch up later. And so, yeah, I went and picked them from school. Then for some reason, my daughter was not happy that day. And like I said, you want to backtrack and think, was everything playing in together or something? So, of course, coming back home, that's about 5:30 to 6. And we stayed downstairs. Like Michaela was really dragging. And I was so tired. I had a headache. I'm like, she refused to get out of the car. And I think we spent about 30 minutes down the stairs. So I was annoyed.
Yeah.
So no moods, nothing. I'm like, we have reached home. Get out of the car, let's get home.
Yeah.
And so we go up and I find the house was so quiet. And so I ask my help, I'm like, the house seems quiet, what's up? She's like, we have just taken and I've just put him there.
That's the other nap.
Yes, the other nap now. And yeah, I get into the bedroom. I just like to have a few things sorted. I remember something was going on with my posts and I needed to figure it out. So I open a laptop and my heart just tells me, you have just entered the house. You haven't checked on the baby. Like. So I had a headache. I'm like, let me just go get a glass of water and take some medicine. And so as I was coming back into my bedroom, and then the instinct again tells me like, go check on the baby. So I had a bottle of water and I just left it on the door. And so I go into the other kids' room. But you know how you're filled with fear over something that you don't know? It was some sort of fear, but I didn't know what it was. So anyway, I just tried to open the door. But still, as I was trying to pull the door opening, there was still something not right. But I could not figure it out because when you've left someone sick at home, probably your mind can quickly think about death or something. But death was the last thing on my mind, like the last thing on my mind. So I just opened the door. I looked at the baby cot. I'm not seeing him. I'm like, maybe he just rolled over. So I just like, but you know how everything was I was so tensed and scared over something that I did not know. So I approached the baby cot and just checking, he had just rolled over. And then he used to breathe so loudly, like all my kids, actually, all our babies have, like they have a loud breath, of you can hear them from the living room or like you can tell. And we usually joke about it of like they use so much energy. So when they just go down, they want to rest. So I'm like, maybe. It was so silent, like very silent. And so I'm like, let me just go and pick him, put him back to sleep well. And then I'm checking, everything is so lifeless. I'm like, eh? Like, you know how you're in so much shock of what's this? Like, and still, death is the last thing that you're thinking about. It did not, honestly, I spent like about a minute there. In my mind, he had just flipped over. Like, death was the last thing to think about. So I just hold him and so lifeless. And he's warm. And I'm like, okay. Now, after like a minute or so, is when it dawned on me, like, oh, by the way, wait a minute. Something is not right. So I just ran out of the room, asked my maid, I'm like, what has happened to the baby? Then she's also like, what has happened? Like, then I ran to my neighbor. We have a very good neighbor at home. And I'm like, first come and help me check. And you know, even when you're asking her to check, death, it has not occurred to you. Probably you have like we can probably rush him to hospital or we can, something can be done. And so she also came. It's as if when she read the panic on my face, she was cooking, I remember. She didn't even turn on the gas. She came running behind me and she held the baby. I was like, Viola, I wish I can tell you something better.
What?
And yeah, so that's how it happened. But Asha was not sick. He was not, nothing. It's just passed on in his sleep. And then, of course, later on, everything happens on so fast. And I remember for the kids, it was so traumatizing because we had just left school. They have just come in home.
They left him in the morning.
To our house. They left him happy. Now, how would you start explaining to a child that your brother, that you left him, before you're an adult, you can understand. But how do you start? And you know, we have a 5-year-old. Stage of questions so it was so perturbing for them to see the scene. And so thank God for my good neighbors again and friends who come in handy, and so she just took them the other side. And then for me as a mother, I was trying to contain myself, but then the girls that we stay with were also like,
it's just a confusing state.
Wailing, running up the balcony,
and she may have been also, you know, blaming herself. What are they blaming me?
Yes, that's also something I wanted to talk about. Like after loss, there is something else that comes. I think we shall talk about.
Okay, so before we go there, so when you found the child, like they had rolled over on their back. What was abnormal about the sleeping? Was it a sleeping position?
He used to sleep facing down, which started to think about the colic time. You know, you put them down and they get some relief when they sleep on their bellies. So as opposed to sleeping just on the belly, he had just done this. He was very peaceful. Do you know, like a posture I found him, there was nothing like I struggled. There was nothing like, you know, he was just like now on the sides and just putting his hands like this. A very normal posture, by the way. Yeah, so that's
okay. So when I know it must have been a trying time. So did you ever try to find out what happened, you know, and things like that? Because a mother may be wondering, but what exactly happened?
So just till that same evening, I started making phone calls myself. So because my neighbor is a Kenyan, literally she has us and a few people that she knows. So like a few of my friends, but I don't think she had the contact. So I again picked up myself and started making phone calls to different people. But I think I called about 4, my siblings, my husband, my siblings, and my sister-in-law. So now when I called them, everyone quickly, like, I don't even know how they made it there. I think in a space of like 20 minutes,
everyone,
they were home. So for me, I first closed myself in my bedroom now and trying to sink, like allow everything sink in. I cried well. Now that time I was calling people or something. I don't even know what was happening in the other room. But at least I knew that the kids were at my neighbor's place and they were being kept safe. So when some of my siblings came in, they proposed that we do a post-mortem.
Yeah.
Of course, they had to take him to hospital again. So they took him to hospital and they ran a post-mortem. And so it came out that the milk he had drank did not digest.
Oh.
So, because, you know, again, when people started coming, everyone was giving their own suggestions of maids. I blame.
Yeah, blaming. The blame game starts.
The blame game started. Maids or what? But you know, God gave me a sense of calmness, not to blame that girl, because myself I was blaming. Like I was also blaming myself.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't probably. Why didn't I stay at home? Or I could have stayed longer, or just stayed day off, or like, you know, the devil is a liar. Like
so
they will always bring so many
mind.
things in your mind, and so. I remember someone saying, no, maids, I started getting like reasons and just justifying. And so one of them said, let's just go and get this
to be sure.
And you know, I have a very good girl. So at that point, it was something I was not thinking of either she did something bad to him or what. No, that was like out of at least the things to think about. But my neighbor told me that at around 4:40, they were at the balcony playing. Yeah. So when she told me that, now my heart again, like I was at peace.
That she
like,
didn't do
yes,
anything.
at least she didn't do anything. She was like, the whole day I have been watching them. She used to go in, bathe him, or like change him, or even take him to her house just to relieve the help from work. So she's like, this afternoon, I saw them at the balcony, just slightly before he went in for a nap. They were playing. Now, of course, you know, sometimes we do these things out of ignorance, or even a mother, you can do it. You can give a child milk and then start shaking them, and then it chokes them. Or you can give them milk and then put them to bed straight. Okay, and then, like, anyone can do anything. It's not necessarily a maid who has to really have that wrong. So it was that case of he drank milk, and that's what the postmortem gave us.
And it choked him.
And it didn't digest. It didn't even come back, because when I found him, that the sheets were dry. It was just a case of digestion.
That's so hard. I'm so sorry. And you're being brave to share your story. And I just want to know, you mentioned that your spouse was away, you know, and so many people are going through marriage and they have gone through loss. How have you guys dealt with that and remained, you know, together and in love? Because someone can reach and begin blaming you, like, maybe why didn't you do wrong, or things like that. So how have you been able to do it?
Okay. Now again, as I was crying in that same bedroom of mine, trying to make phone calls, my heart told me, don't allow him to hear it from another person. As much as it is hard, give him a call and tell him. And you know, 6 p.m. to 7 is about the time that the countries, it's the same time zone. So it's about the time that he has left work and he's now ready to talk to the kids on phone. And so I think for him, when I called him,
he thought it was the usual.
It was the usual routine. And then also, however young Asha was, they had their rapport. Like, he's very good with kids. And so I would put the phone and then they play. At 4 months, 3 months, they play. He had started recognizing his voice and the face, so they would play. And when I take away the phone, he wails.
So he knew there was a
relationship. So even when I was calling him, yes, the blame came in, but it was not so much. I felt like as a parent, or as parents, we had really done our best to raise him. And so I called him. I told him, I'm sorry. Of course, crying. I'm sorry, but I couldn't even protect Asha. I couldn't, like, you know how you start like giving a whole script of, I'm so sorry, what, crying and wailing, breaking down. And then he told me, first tell me what has happened. And I tell him Asha has passed on. And I had, like, he froze. He froze and told me, what happened? Like in sleep. And he said, he didn't ask me anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't say, I'm coming. He switched off the phone. Then after like about 2 minutes, he calls again. He's like, it's okay, don't blame yourself, because we have all done our best. Now for me, that was a sign of relief. Like,
yeah, because you felt supported in this
I could
thing.
even say healing started from there.
Okay.
Because just one statement of, it's okay, don't blame yourself, you have done your best. And you know, as couples, raising children is really not an easy thing. So for him to have gotten work to take him away and leave me with 3 children, I have to drop them to school, I have to pick them, I have to take care of the one at home. He had always like affirmed me, like, Sam, you're doing well, you're doing a good job. Yeah. So when that came in, and then when he said that, it was just like affirmation of, you know what, it is well.
Yeah.
And so he didn't tell me anything else. He switched off the phone again. Now, I didn't know that he had started working on how to calm. And honestly speaking, I didn't expect him to calm.
Really? Oh.
Like, okay, I knew he was going to calm. You know how people take like 2 weeks,
I know.
1 week, and
to get everything in order. What?
To get everything in order, and that was the last thing I wanted to hear. Like, he's coming after 1 week, and so poor man, he starts looking at how he's going to come. And to my surprise, yeah, of course, we went through the night. People were making programs of burial and stuff like that. And then the next thing I heard was at 6 a.m., he was at the airport. Now, again, that was like another kind of support, like great support. I don't know how he made it. He told me the stories later on, but yeah, his bosses were really supportive and they allowed him to come. And yeah, so the child passed on at 6, and by 6 in the morning he was in Entebbe. And so when he came, of course, we did arrangements and we went for the burial.
Yeah. So how has life been like during that? Because you know, in that whole situation, it's hard. Then people go, and now you start to do life with this situation. Like, how are you coping as a mom, but also as a wife? And then the siblings, like, how is it going? You know, because there are lots of people who are going through it that would want to learn how you're doing it.
Okay, first, let me talk about me and my husband now. Grief can throw you both ways. It can be positive, something positive can come out of it. Yeah. Or it can actually throw you the extreme side of negative. Like, life can mean, like, everything can turn around the other way around. So, and we are lucky or blessed to say that it has actually brought us closer. Wow. So, one of the things that have really helped us as a couple is we talk about it. We've talked about it. Because when someone closes you when someone closes you out of what they think, how do you ever help that person?
You don't know how to help. You don't know what's going through their minds.
You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know if they are connected with a child now, because, you know, grief is about, again, relationship. Because we suffered the same loss, but now we're handling it a different way. Whether you're married, whether it's husband and wife, whether sister and brother, you can never face grief the same way. So we talked about it, and the second thing we did was appreciate how the other person is grieving.
Because they grieve differently.
You know what? Because there is a relationship.
Yeah.
As much as he used to talk to him on the phone and play, and I know that he has a very special place in his children's lives. Some people usually joke like, now that Benja is around, you still have children. But on the other side, I also had a relationship with a child, which I can't fully explain to him as a mother, how he used to say that he's my handbag. I cannot express to him how I fully understand. So it was for accept. How does Benjamin grieve? And for him, men, again, they know how to box. Right? And shelve things. Whereas for you, a woman, we're expressive. We want to cry, we want to like be emotional about everything. It can as well as affect your other relationships, your social circles. It can affect your relationship with your family members, with your husband, for starters. So communication was really key. It has been key. We are still in the process. So communication has been key you want to understand, how does Benjamin grieve?
So you ask him,
You
or
ask him,
okay.
so how are you feeling? So he tell, and I would observe, I would see that for him, it's painful, but he has kind of boxed. They have like shelves.
There's
they
a way
know
they
they're
do
boxed,
it,
and
yeah.
they are men. They are structured that way. So as a woman, when you try to do that, you break.
Yeah, and then with the children, how are you able to communicate what happened, to walk them through everything?
For the little one, because he was 2, what you tell him, that's what he will take. But then the 5-year-old, she was so attached. She's a girl, and again, girls, you know how they behave. They're trying to bathe the baby. She wants to help you with a towel. She wants to help you with a wipe.
Shower.
So she was really involved, carrying him. I want to burp today. I want to, like, she was really involved. So it was so hard for us. But one of the things that helped us was, don't lie.
Tell them exactly what happened.
Not, of course, you would see the information now, right? Because if you don't give them the information, another person will give them the information. Else. So, right, one step we did, not taking them for the burial. They didn't go. Because you want them to keep with the memory of the smiley baby. Because when he passed, I think he had like hit himself on the baby cot. So he had like 2 lines, of course, when the blood kind of like stops moving, and then everything that if you touch it will go, because the body is no longer, the blood is no longer flowing in the body. So for her, she saw that.
Oh dear.
And so when we came back, the first question was, why did Asha have 2 lines on her face, on his face? So I dealt with those questions. Every day I would ask God, I'm like, help me, what is she going to ask next now? Meanwhile, they get you off guard. They get you at your lowest point of, today I have cried the whole morning, I didn't sleep the whole night, your eyes are swollen. Mommy, why is heaven so far?
Because you've said the baby has gone to heaven.
Exactly, because you told them the baby has gone to heaven. What? Then you start. You say Jesus has to be above there to look at everyone. Wisdom. Wisdom. And then she would be quiet and not talk like the whole morning. You're dropping her to school and she puts her thumb in the mouth. Like, Michaela, you're so quiet, you're sad. I miss my baby brother. So those are the things that when you're dealing with grief, especially loss of a child, and you have one who is about that age, please tell them the truth. Don't paint a picture that you're going to get held up in, because now when you lie to her, you have about other 30 years.
You have to keep explaining
building onto your lie, right? So we told them the truth. We were like, Asha went to heaven. God takes those that he loves, and at his own time, that's when he takes them. Like, so I feel like I want to go to heaven now and just see how he's doing. Is he doing well? Because now, again, she's a girl. So she just wants to go and see if her brother is doing well. So God gave me wisdom. And if I would feel like the answer, I'm not ready to give her an answer. Now again, that dad is good with children. He teaches Sunday school and what like that. So I'll be like, let's wait for Papa in the evening when we're talking.
He will explain.
And so meanwhile, I've texted him. I'm like, this question is coming for you. Be ready. Be ready. And so he would actually explain and make it playful. And she's happy. And then the other thing that we did was, as much as an adult is processing, a child is processing as well. Do not shut their brains. Do not block them from expressing themselves. When she wants to tell you something, listen. It's painful. I can tell you, this 1 year, it has been painful. Like processing things that I would never think I was supposed to process. So when she comes and tells you, Mommy, I'm thinking about this, listen to her, because you're an adult. You have multiple ways of go read a book, go listen, go to a counselor. The only hope she has is you. And so when you block her out, another person, and you don't know what other people are going to tell them. And then the other thing was, we did not phase Asha out just like that. People came and gave ideas. Why are you putting his picture in the living room?
Remove it.
Remove it. And you know, this is 5 months. 5 months with a baby. It's like he's a whole human being. He can laugh, he can. So now how do you tell me to just phase someone out of my life? Like I've been with him.
Yeah.
So how do you tell me
Just
keep
remove,
everything of theirs? Yeah. So what I did is I left his picture in the living room, and so every time they would kind of like, Asha is smiling. I'm like, okay, of course it makes me feel bad, but I'm like, okay, at least we are processing together, right? Yeah. And then we also, she helped me fold away his stuff, so we kept them. And so she's like, so you're not going to see him again. And like when you get to heaven, when Jesus calls you, your time will come. We shall all go there at one point. So when your time comes, you're going to see him with his smiley face. But for now, let's fold his things. As I was going through grief, I would like to say God was working.
Yeah.
He enabled me to keep showing up. Because have you ever felt stabbed? Like I've served you for all my life. Like talk about Viola, talk about God. I'm like, is this how you're paying me?
Yeah.
Like I felt so stabbed. And for a moment, truth be told, I didn't want to see a Bible. I didn't want to see a notebook. I didn't want to see a journal. I did not want, because I felt
betrayed in a way.
Stabbed. I felt like a gentleman had just left me alone. I'm like, how do you go through such a thing? Because grief takes you to a place of loneliness. And so if you feel no one will understand you, like even if you're my
because no one has gone through what you're
even if you're my friend, you do not know, like, do they really understand me? And then of course you're dealing with people's comments. We just need emotional intelligence as a way to learn how to manage people, especially in times of grief and loss and really unusual circumstances, because someone will come and tell you, you need to start praying for your children.
So it's like I was not praying enough.
Not praying enough. Or they will tell you, someone actually told me, anyways, just want to say it. Like, it can be so insensitive. And so I realized that the person who I felt had stabbed me was my next 2 point of like, I didn't have any other person. You see, I'm married. But I also felt like my husband could not understand my relationship with
your
baby.
child.
You understand? As much as I was respecting how he was grieving, he respected how I was grieving. We talked about it. We felt like we're on the right track, but I could not. I didn't feel anyone understanding me. So we're like, let me go back to God who gave me the child, who made everything happen, and let's wrestle. Let's wrestle a bit. And so while I was going through that, God actually caused me some sort of self-awareness. That was about, he passed in June, and then in July, I remember it's one night where I had sleepless nights. And so this one night I was crying, journaling. My journal was so full of tears, and you know how you feel like peace in the moment. You're crying, you feel like you're hopeless, depression now has set in, you don't know where to go to next, and then other thoughts now start coming in of like, I'm hated, I'm not loved, I'm all alone, it kind of throws you to a place of loneliness, like you're just there. And so one night, that same night, I feel like some little voice telling me, don't worry, we are about to see the positive of this side. And so I read James 1, 2 to 4 of brothers and sisters, if any of these, don't worry if any of these trials come to you, if you're facing these trials, your faith, your test, your faith is now being tested. But now it doesn't matter. We are all tested in life. The other one is suffering loss from his money. The other one, it's divorce. The other one, it's child, the other
Yeah.
one is husband. We are all suffering all kinds of trials and losses.
Yeah.
But now, what God wants to see is our faith come out of this. Our faith is being tested. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because many times we love God when good things are happening, and then when sad things are happening, we feel like, no, you don't love me anymore.
Yeah.
And yet he still remains God regardless of what happened. Yeah.
So I remember that night, I'm like, okay, now you give me this scripture of like, count it all joy. Like, where is the joy here? You know, like you start wrestling with him, like, where is the joy? Honestly, show me the joy. And then in that same moment, he reminds me, I just thought about something very random. I'm like, Viola, you would have found him alive and probably short of oxygen supply, and it's another story. Of like, probably now we start dealing with abnormalities, of special needs. Like, you would have found him alive, but are you sure you would have found him the same usher? Like they put him in the bed. That was my peace.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, like God just gave me a positive to cling on. Just a positive, just one thing. Just think about this one thing. You would have found him alive, but probably he struggled a lot. Probably he's no longer the one that you put there. So I was like, maybe God wanted me to. He didn't see me really strong enough to handle things later on or something of that sort. And so that night my story changed. And then in the morning, I woke up with some sort of energy. I'm like, this is God. This can't be me. And you know how you're so used to, it's good for you to cry. It's good for you to feel the pain.
Yeah.
But it's not good for you
To stay in the pain.
to stay there, because for me, while I was staying there, you know, you're enjoying people, like now you're going to the extreme of self-pity. You're there and people are like, oh, so sorry, it's okay, don't go to work, just stay home. Like, of course, people are like, kind of, they want to resonate with you, they want to feel like they understand you.
Yeah.
So while you're enjoying your pit, it's not enjoying per se, but you're enjoying probably whatever is like, you're getting an excuse for you not to show up. It's just not good for us to stay
In
there.
the pain. Yeah.
In the pain.
Yeah. So
Just look for a way of coming out. And thankfully for me, it was God's grace, and it is still God's grace.
Yeah.
Because from there then I renewed my faith, I remember. After renewing my faith, and then God started showing me that actually marriages are crumbling.
and they need you
Yeah.
to help.
Then I'm starting to, I'm like, you haven't even given me time to grieve.
Yeah.
Like these are 2 months away.
You put me on
And then you're
a
putting
purpose
me on,
here.
there is a purpose. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
And all those thoughts came after that one night of hopelessness. And so he tells me, marriages are crumbling. How? People grieve differently, and then they lack sense of communication, and then intimacy is affected, and then just like that, our marriage is down the
Gone.
road.
Yeah.
You understand? So that was one thing. The second thing he put on my heart was, like I said, grief can take you extreme sides,
Yeah.
either positive
Or negative.
Or negative. There is one there who has suffered loss, and life has lost meaning, and is still in the pit.
Even 5 years after, they are
10
still,
years after,
yeah.
20 years after, they are still in the pit. Go reach out to that person as well. So there were two things:
Wow.
marriages and someone who has just lost purpose because of loss.
Wow.
Encourage them.
So I was
It
going
is-
to ask, how have you been doing that? You know, now that you're on that journey, you've helped lots of moms. How are you doing that?
One was, I think, talking to you. I remember we talked about it. Again, it comes, so God has given me the courage to share this story, because
Courage.
this is just 1 year.
It's still raw. It's still
It's
fresh.
still raw. If I told you today morning I cried before I came, but I'm right here. But you know how it's not you.
It's bigger than you.
It's bigger than me, and it has now become a purpose. So when God sends you, he will as well as avail
Yeah.
the resources and then also the right platforms for you to reach out to his people. And so I remember one of the conversations, I don't even know how we started on that.
It's
but
good. I also don't know how.
And then it came up. So it's on avenues like that. It's not like I'm going to go like, I don't know, go approaching people or something, but it's on avenues like just as we go
Sharing
through
your
life, sharing the
story.
story, and then people take courage because it's honestly not me.
Wow.
It's not
It's
me.
not. Okay. So what's one thing, you know, we talked about people who are insensitive. What would you like to tell people, you know, because, you know, when you've not been in that space, you don't know what to say. For some people, you may keep quiet and the person says you were insensitive. You didn't even say anything. So what would you like to tell people out there who want to be the support system for a person who has lost someone?
I will probably, after the burial, and then my 2 months of wrestling with God, no Bible, nothing like anything concerning God, first leave me, let me be alone. So that time, after that same night of depression and hopelessness and looking at nothing beyond pain, the following morning I started on a Bible recap, like reading a Bible for the whole year. The first book was Job.
Me, I skip Job up to this point. I'm like, I don't, please God, do not, because like, no.
Let it not be Job.
No.
So when first of all, I hadn't understood what God was communicating. But as I went deeper and deeper in the book, I realized like, oh, okay, now there is a purpose here. When the friends came to see Job, you realize they never said anything. They first sat with him before they spoiled the whole agenda. But they first sat with him saying nothing. So sometimes presence
It's enough.
is
Okay.
because when someone is going through grief, they are already tired. Like there is self-pity, there is a sense of loneliness. So you don't know how they'll receive whatever you're going to say. And you don't even know if it's right or not. So sometimes it's just enough for you to ask someone, how may I be of help? Right? Now, like, for example, what I remember is someone telling me, take off the picture from the wall.
Imagine.
That's what I remember. So I call them insensitive because
You say the wrong thing at the wrong
even
time.
when it's not wrong, like you're busy judging them,
Yeah.
even when it's not wrong. So sometimes presence is enough. And probably as you keep your presence there, you keep learning. You learn how Lisa wants to be
support,
helped,
yeah.
how she wants to be supported. And just ask them how they would love to be helped.
Okay.
Then they will tell you. Yeah, they will tell you how they, because when they do not, you can as well as keep your presence.
Yeah.
It's a very sensitive thing, and I would just want to ask someone out there who is suffering loss in so many ways. Might be a child, divorce, whatever, finances, your marriages. How do you be yourself when someone else is writing the script? Because this is life that we have, but it's not our own. God is our author, and He's writing our script. So how does Viola stay sane? How do I keep being myself, even when some other person is writing the script? Just show up. Show up even when it hurts, because what I did was to show up even when it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I remember the same year, last year in September, I started hosting sale in my home. No one sent me to do that.
Yeah.
I remember my friend asking, like, are you sure you're ready? I'm like, God says so.
God says, and I love that when you continue to be alert to what He's saying, because many people, even in the grieving time, God is trying to reach out, to comfort, to hold you, but you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen. So you could have easily missed that if you were not alert,
Exactly.
And when you're talking about showing up, because your children now, you're still a mother also to other children, and then now they need you.
Need your help.
So if you be in that pit and never come out,
You'll stay there.
You'll stay
and
there.
so many people will miss out on finding their purpose again, and they will just miss out.
because you were their purpose enabler on the journey, but you didn't
Yes.
show up.
Yes.
Oh my God, amazing. So what would you love to tell a mother out there who has lost a child, apart from showing up? Is there any word of encouragement? You know, because it's easier when it comes from someone who's experienced what they have gone through. Is there something that you want to share with them that you have not mentioned?
Maybe I would draw from Genesis 50:20. Again, when Joseph was being sold into slavery by the brothers, and everything at the moment
Seemed so terrible.
seemed to have stopped for him. Imagine in that pit, in that pit. So I would want to refer loss as to that pit. Just imagine Joseph being there, being sold. He was a loved child. All of a sudden, everything had stopped right there.
Yeah.
But as he was sold into slavery and God raising him up to do so many things, he mentioned something when they came back now, when they never had food and they come to collect food, that what the devil meant for bad, what the devil meant for bad, God turned it into good.
Yeah.
So whatever loss, again, my dear mothers, like I am still going through this journey. That's why I said, if I told you I cried before I came, it's still a journey, it's still a season. But there is a purpose in that season of yours. I like what you said about keeping alert. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be in pain. It's okay for you to cry. Just okay. But it's not okay for you to stay there. It's okay for you to feel like life is unfair. It's very okay. But it's not okay for you to feel a victim. Because you know what victims feel? Every eye is on them, on attention, on what. And so you start developing self-pity within yourself. So it's just the season you're going through of loss. These babies were given to us.
I know.
And we're just stewards. We're just stewards. I know the emotions are so...
It's hard.
Like, it's so hard. But just for us to know that our relationship with God, again, is not what comes along with it. Because all these are benefits, right?
They are gifts.
They are gifts. They are what we have received from God. So, will you stop serving Him because everything is taken away?
Question of the day. Will you stop
Question of the
serving
day.
Him?
Because everything has been taken away.
Yeah.
Just like I told you, I wrestled.
Yeah.
But I came back to Him, I'm like, you're the one who stabbed me. I felt disappointed. I felt what? But I'm back again because you're the
You're the
author.
only one.
You're the one who gives me. Even whatever I have now,
It's you.
it's you. So how do I run away from you again? And there is that sense of peace that you derive from God alone.
Only He can
Only Him.
satisfy.
I am telling you, if it is regarding loss, I won't talk about other things because this is what I have suffered and experienced. It is that until you recognize that God is right in the middle of that suffering, you might as well as take forever there. But when He comes, He makes things lighter. It might not go away, but He will make it light. He will walk with you the journey. He will hold you by your hand, and then He will cause you to do things that you never thought of doing. Catch me.
I know.
Catch me here. Like, who would ever think that I'm here to encourage other mothers and everyone that has suffered loss? Yeah.
Ah, Viola, thank you for being here. I know it's not easy, but you're being brave, and thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Guys, please make sure you share this video with a mother out there, with someone going through loss. You just never know how you'll encourage them. My name is Lisa Kusima, and I'm here to
Inspire?
inspire.